Hey guys, what's up? Hope everyone's having a great day and I hope you're doing well out there, out in the world. Okay, so today is day 8 of the Depp v. Heard sidebars, going through them day by day. Once again, I didn't find anything in day 6, so it's missing, but it's missing. So there was nothing there when I looked at the transcript, so we're just moving on. So today's day 8 is going to be another long one, so let's just get right into it.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so this one, Rottenborn said, "Good morning. We believe that Mr. Depp's testimony opened the door for the UK judgment. He testified that," and then he trails off, and Judge Penny said, "On direct, Rottenborn, on direct, he testified that 6 years ago, Miss Heard made these allegations against him, and then he went on to say that he had to wait for his opportunity to address the charges. And he said, so I felt a responsibility of clearing the record. The only way that I could get to the point where I could speak it, it really has taken this 6 whole years." Just Penny's like, okay. And then Rottenborn went on. And then later he says on the next page, "This is actually the first opportunity that I've been able to speak about the case in full for the first time." So he is careful to say that this case. Judge Penny's like, "This case?" Rottenborn. So what he's left the jury with is the impression that he talks about these accusations 6 years ago. He's leaving the jury with the impression that he's never had the opportunity to address the truth of those accusations, when the fact is, then the jury's left with the impression he's never been able to address them to this point. Judge Penny's like, all right. Ben Chu, "I think he was very careful to avoid that, Your Honor. I think he's grasping at straws." Miss Myers, "I believe this is an issue for damages." Judge Penny, "I don't think the door has been opened at this point." Rottenborn, do I have your leave to refer to the article that ask about the article?" And Judge Penny's like, "Which article?" Rottenborn, "The article that was the subject of the lawsuit, the op-ed." He's like, no, not the op-ed. Miss Bredehoff, "Has nothing to do with this case." Judge Penny, "I don't know which article you're talking about." Rottenborn, "Well, we'll just take it as it comes, Your Honor." Ben Chu, the Sun article he's referring to, which has nothing to do with this case. And Judge Penny said, "I'm not going to allow it." Rottenborn, "I just want to be very clear." The court said, "Perfect, I appreciate it." Now, the thing is, this is the first time he's been able to take her fully to task. UK was taking the Sun to task. That's all that was. She just happened to be a witness. He was never able to fully question all of this nonsense that she's putting forward. So this is the first time that he's been able to fully bring her to task.
Mr. Depp, I'd like to direct your attention to the second to last text.
Yes.
On this is a text from you to your agent Christian Carino on August 15th, 2016, correct?
That's correct. That's what it looks like, yes.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance and prejudice.
If you could approach formalized.
Okay, so Ms. Myers says, "Your Honor," and Judge Penny says 2016. Ms. Myers, "This is again after the separation. They've already put in exhibits that they're using foul language after this point, and this is needlessly cumulative and it's irrelevant." Judge Penny, "What's the relevance?" Rottenborn, "Well, it's just the second to last text. It's not cumulative for a couple of reasons, Your Honor. Number one, Your Honor allows us to put in text of violence that he wants to have happen to Miss Heard. You already allowed the text of Isaac Baruch, which was those were after May 21st, 2016. Judge Penny's like, "Oh, I understand, but I don't see." Rottenborn, this is the same thing. This is him saying, the one at the bottom, "I hope that karma kicks in and takes the gift of breath from her. She's going to," second one up from the bottom, he refers to her, and this is the document, Your Honor. Your Honor's admitting into evidence that his violence toward Amber Heard, toward Alan Barkley, Phonotronic on Friday in the deposition designations, and this is him talking. Judge Penny, "This kind of make it sounds like it's cumulative." Rottenborn, "This is critically important to the jury to see. This is what he's saying about Amber." Judge Penny, "I mean, I can understand some of it, not all of it. Obviously, it's not relevant." Rottenborn, "That one." Judge Penny, one line. Rottenborn, when he says global humiliation. Rottenborn, he says something like he hopes that karma gets the best of her. She will hit the wall hard. I can point to another exhibit right after this, Your Honor. 2014, he uses hit the wall hard. He uses that same phrase. That's another reason I want to use that exhibit. Judge Penny doesn't say that in this particular text. And she's like, oh, here it goes. Rottenborn. And then the next exhibit that I introduce, one where he says he thinks it's 2014, she will hit the wall hard. This is language of violence. No, it's we all get the reference. Judge Penny, there's a couple, but I'm engrossed in a lot of irrelevant information. It doesn't belong in here. So if you want to pick out those two, looks like I'm so funny now she wants to act this out, she'll hit the wall, I'll allow that. And then I think that one complicates, and then Judy couldn't figure it out, and that's about it. Rottenborn, okay, we'd like to get it in and ask him about those. Penny, if you could redact it to just those two. Rottenborn, okay, thank you, Your Honor. And Judge Penny said...
They are similar words.
Before we keep going, Judge Penny said, we need to make progress on here soon. Everyone said, okay, and then they moved on to this one.
But they have different meanings. If,
Can we
I
pull
don't know
up
if that makes
exhibit
sense to you, but
exhibit 498, please? Mr. Depp, is this a text exchange that you had with Ms. Heard on or about October 28th, 2015?
yes, sir.
And I'd like to direct your attention to the third text down.
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 498 with identifiers redacted.
Any objection?
Relevance, Your Honor.
All right, let's,
May we approach?
okay, sure.
So Ms. Myers says, Your Honor, the relevance of Mr. Depp using an inappropriate word to describe someone other than Ms. Heard, I don't understand the relevance. Judge Penny, what's the relevance? Rottenborn. It's the violence that's been. I want to show that he said this. He's already opened the door and said he had such a loving marriage and relationship with Vanessa. So at a minimum, it's impeachment. This is the type of, they're hoping that he's a classy guy that never erupts. Amber just brought out the worst in him. This is showing that he had bad violent thoughts towards others as well. He keeps saying that he testified repeatedly on direct about his peaceful tendencies and how it was only on Amber. This shows he's like, I'm sorry to do it, but there's a lot of horrible incidences of Judge Penny. It is cumulative, Ms. Myers. Your Honor, these are words about someone that's not misheard. I don't understand the relevance. If anything, it's offering for improper character to suggest that because he uses bad words. Judge Penny, I'm going to sustain the objection. Ms. Myers, thank you. And then they all went on their...
January. I'm sorry, the second one from the last.
Yes.
January 12th?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Is that Ryan Adams, the singer?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, move for admission of Defendant's Exhibit 330. Just plan on asking him about that text.
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'm happy to approach if you want.
Okay, so Rottenborn in his huffy puffy manner said, it's directly toward his state of mind on how misheard, Judge Penny. Was it that date specifically? Sorry, guys. Is there something that happens on that date? That's why we need to know about his state of mind on that date. Rottenborn. I'm not sure he was married, but he was with Miss Heard that day. It was getting toward the wedding, and this is a man with Judge Penny, but we've had so many substance abuse. It's a cumulative nature. Rottenborn. I know, but that's Judge Penny. If there's not a specific date tied to it, Rottenborn. It goes to he testified to his main beef with Amber was that she didn't want him doing drugs and he hated her for it. Judge Penny. I think we'll get over that the last day. Rottenborn. I'm going to have to hit a little bit more. I want to talk about violent language, Mr. Hoochie. Judge Penny, if it's not tied to a specific date, I have to draw the line. We've got too much cumulative things. I've gone through all of the exhibits over the weekend, Mr. Rottenborn, and there's plenty here and about his substance abuse and his texts of substance abuse. Until you tie it down to a date, Rottenborn, but it's not only substance abuse, but it's the violence that grows from that, Judge Penny. This one just says hatred. Rottenborn, then the next one, we can discuss the next one. The next one, he said that I'm going to try and get this one from, he texted her sober friend and said, the head is a C word with a grievous intent. That's why drugs are good. I mean, this ties into the pain that he's testified that he experienced. And the fact that he numbs the pain with the drugs, he just, Judge Penny, she's like, I have a lot of exhibits that say that Mr. Rottenborn, so it becomes cumulative. I'm going to sustain the objection at this time. If words are tied to a date, it's important in the case, okay? And then everyone said, okay.
This is a text from you to Malcolm Connolly. Is that right?
That's correct.
Your Honor, I'd move for admission of this document with the third text down.
If I just,
Sure.
And I'm happy to approach to discuss if Your Honor would like.
relevance objection again, Your Honor.
Okay, you want to approach?
Okay, so Rottenborn, I believe that February 10th, you can correct me if you disagree, but I believe February 10th, 2016 is the date of the Sweet Sir kitchen video that we saw. Judge Penn's like, Ms. Myers, I don't believe that date was ever established. I believe Mr. Depp asked you about the date of that. Yeah, no, he doesn't really know. Mr. Rottenborn, well, you can establish that with Amber. We're not establishing anything with Amber. Court, I'll allow it at this time. Again, redact. Rottenborn said thank you, and we're on to the next one.
I'd like to direct your attention to the second to last text from the bottom. This is a text message exchange between you and Ms. Heard on October 29th, 2013, correct?
It looks like it is, yes.
Your Honor, I'd move for the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 195 with the appropriate identifiers redacted.
We would object on relevance grounds, Your Honor.
Your Honor, this is him expressing his views on her taking a meeting about a movie, her career, his views.
Okay, so Judge Penny wanted to know, how is this relevant? Rottenborn said, he's jealous and he's controlling, and he told her no movies, no meeting, no movies. This is what he says in that text message to her. It goes entirely towards his motive for abusing her. We're going to hear from Ms. Heard about this. This is directly relevant, Ms. Myers. Your Honor, it's his view on her. I mean, I don't have the context of this. I don't understand how that, Judge Penny said. I guess it goes to his true nature. I'll allow it. Did you have any objection to the page coming in, or did you just want the text? Ms. Myers, no. I would like the entire page. Court, all right, just get the identifiers off. And that was it. They were on to the next. They moved on.
Sir, if anyone had a problem with my drinking at any time in my life, it was me. The only person that I have ever abused in my life is myself.
In fact, you tried to hide your drinking from your daughter, Lily Rose, didn't you?
Objection, relevance.
What's the relevance?
When your nerves are pushed...
Sure, if you
Can we approach, Your Honor?
Okay.
Pardon?
Okay, so Mr. Rottenborn, again, she's brought his kids into it. He said that they hated Miss Heard, they didn't like her, blah, blah, blah. And he's testified that no one had a problem with his drinking. He said, no one's had a problem but me. And here, the next day, I'm going to bring up is one where he says, and this is directly contrary to his testimony so far, he says, now Lily Rose hates me because she thinks I'm drinking, and she's right, but I can't admit it, or I die in her eyes. That's entirely relevant because it undermines, Judge Penny, what's the date? Rottenborn, January 21st, 2014, directly in the middle of their relationship. Miss Myers, that's not tied to any incidents of abuse. I don't believe he's denied drinking during the relationship. Judge Penny, I'll allow that. We're moving forward at some point. Rottenborn, I'm trying to go as fast as I can. I have a few more drug things to do, and then Judge Penny, that sounds interesting, Mr. Rottenborn. I'm moving as fast as I can. I think I'm less than 30 minutes away. Judge Penny's like, all right, I'll overrule the objection. Move on. And they did. Judge Penny really sounds like she's a hoot.
again, isn't passed out, that's a very specific term. Sleep could be one, passed out.
Let's try it this way. This is a picture of you in a chair, correct?
That is correct.
Move for the admission of 1092, Your Honor.
Any objection?
I'm relevance, Your Honor?
Your Honor, I'm trying to move this along, and when we stopped with
Well,
relevance,
you want to lay a foundation, I just don't.
this is a picture of Mr. Depp. We've introduced another, on Thursday, another picture of that.
What is the date of this photograph? I'm sorry.
Okay, Rottenborn. Just 3 of these I'm trying to, Judge Penny. I know, but what's the relevancy so far as what date? Do you have a frame for this, Rottenborn? Ms. Heard can testify to these. I don't know what the day is, but if he says it's him, and again, Judge Penny, it's him, but it's not relevant unless I get a time frame. If you'll wait until she gets on the stand, I'll bring all these in, that's fine. Rottenborn, I'm happy to do that to speed it along. I believe they're all relevant because they all go toward his systemic drug abuse. Judge Penny, well, maybe they're all relevant, but that could have been taken yesterday when it wouldn't be relevant. That's my problem. She objected to relevance. I have to sustain it at this time unless you lay a foundation. Rottenborn, well, he's not going to know when, Judge Penny. Then I guess you have to wait until Miss Heard. Rottenborn, I have pictures of him passed out on the floor. Miss Myers, you have not allowed us to lay that foundation. Judge Penny, if you have pictures of him at this past weekend passed out, they're not relevant. Rottenborn, I take your point in effort to move along. I'll skip those ones. I'll skip through these and we'll bring them through Miss Heard's testimony. I said, okay, that would be perfect. Now, here's the thing. Rottenborn just admitted that Depp doesn't know when it would be taken. Didn't Amber say that the only reason she took these photos was to prove to Johnny, like, show him the next day, look how much of a mess you are, like, look at you, look at the state of you, and yet Rottenborn just admitted that Depp would never know when they were taken because he'd never seen them before. He was never shown them. Just how I'm seeing it, I could be completely 100% wrong. Let's move on.
They're both. So, of course, people write negative stories.
Sure. And you just testified to the jury that it all started on May 27, 2016. So that's why I asked you to clarify about the negative stories prior to that date. And you'd agree that there were, correct?
Can you be specific about the stories? Of course, there have been negative stories.
Permission to approach, Your Honor?
All right.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have here numerous exhibits in one sort of compendium, all press articles about Mr. Depp, if I may approach.
So Rottenborn says,
All right, yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Your Honor, having received this, I would like to preemptively lodge a hearsay, lack of foundation, and
He hasn't got him in evidence yet. Are you moving?
No,
these to
I'm
evidence?
happy to approach, but they're certainly not being admitted for the truth of the matter asserted, but I'm happy to approach and discuss if you'd like.
okay. So Judge Prenny said, I mean, if they don't come in, you're just going to use them to what? Rottenborn. So yeah, that's it. So yeah, Judge Penny, he said that there were articles written. So it's not impeachment. What is it? Mr. Rottenborn. So I'm going to introduce them as evidence. So defamation, we focus on a lot of falsity, but the words also have to be defamatory. And the Shiro case, Virginia Supreme Court, says that defamatory words, you have to have the defamatory staying. Defamatory words are those tending so to harm the reputation of another as to lower him in the estimation of the community or detour third persons from associating with them. And then they go on to describe the nature of that. The court says, we have stated that defamatory language tends to injure one's reputation in the common estimation of mankind to throw, continually shame or disgrace upon him, in which he tends to hold up on scorn, ridicule, or contempt, or which is calculated to render him infamous, odious, or ridiculous. So this goes directly to elements that they had to prove in order to win this case. That not only were the statements false, but they had the defamatory sting. And so the fact that all of these articles, a drop in the bucket, that was what these were. What I propose to do is to get them to admit that this headline is not hearsay. It's for his reputation, what the public knew, whether true or not. And I just like to go through them. So that's why they gave them all to him at once, so we could move through this. I will say one of them is a headline or the subject of the UK suit. I don't plan to emphasize that. Judge Penny, I don't see how they can get into evidence. If you maybe ask him, Rottenborn. I'll ask him about it. I don't need to get them in, but I would like to go through and get him to acknowledge that as of this date, an article was written that said why. And if they don't come into evidence, that's fine at this point. I think that's very relevant. And under the Scherer case, it goes to the heart of what he has to prove. Ms. Myers, Your Honor, most of these articles have obviously nothing to do with the defamatory statements that were made in the op-ed, which is that he was an abuser of a woman. These are completely irrelevant. Rottenborn, doesn't matter. Just doesn't matter. Ms. Myers, this goes to a completely different aspect of reputation, and it's not at issue in this case. Rottenborn, doesn't matter. It's reputation as a whole, as what the Supreme Court says that you look at, or intending to harm the reputation of another as to lower him in the estimation of the community. When you look at these articles, something by Ms. Heard saying 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing DV, is a lot less likely to have any impact. Judge Penny, but this one doesn't come in. You can't ask him about this. Rottenborn's like, okay, I won't. He's kicking rocks. Judge Penny, I have to go through these separately. Ms. Myers, Your Honor, the headlines themselves are hearsay. They lack any foundation. Some of these are tabloids. Rottenborn, they're not hearsay. They're not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. Judge Penny, but they're being offered because they're saying they ruined his reputation. Rottenborn, I know, but it's something that says apparently Johnny Depp was drunk. I don't care if Johnny Depp was drunk, but if that's out in the public, that's directly relevant to his reputation. I'm not saying that they proved something. I'm saying that the public knew. Yeah, we fucking knew that these were out there, and that's under the Scherer case. That's the heart of the case, Your Honor. If he had been someone with a crystal clean record who had never had any negative press about him, whatever is being sued, whatever statement in the subject of defamation case is going to potentially carry more defamatory sting than someone who had all this stuff written about him. Ms. Myers, Your Honor, an article does not establish what someone's reputation is. Judge Penny, it's out in the public because he's a public person. So I understand that. I'm just seeing which one of these are cumulative. Rottenborn, that one right there you're looking at. He's like, right there. Oh, jeez. Judge Penny, none of them come into evidence, but you can ask him about them. Rottenborn, thank you. I'll take that out. Judge Penny, and you're just going to do the headlines. Rottenborn, yes, nothing more. And Judge Penny's like, and the dates, I assume? Rottenborn, and the dates, yes, Your Honor. Judge Penny, the date of the op-ed again? Rottenborn, December 18th, 2018. Judge Penny, I think we already did this one. Rottenborn, we did. I'll take it out. Judge Penny, you want to see these ones? Rottenborn, yeah, okay. Judge Penny, if you want to switch stacks with me, I can, if you want to make sure. Fuji says, fine. Judge Penny, you might take a look at what I have. Ms. Myers, thank you. Rottenborn, I'm just going to set these to the side. Ms. Myers, I would maintain my relevance objection. Judge Penny, it's reputation of a public person, so it's out in the public. They're not coming into evidence, but he can question about it, and you can redirect about it as well, but just want to make sure. Rottenborn, Your Honor, with this one, I would propose to read the title, but then the subtitle as well. Judge Penny's like, okay, that's fine. Ms. Myers wanted to see the subtitle. Rottenborn, after this, I only have one little module, and then I'm done. Thank God. Judge Penny said, okay, thank you. Rottenborn, thank you, Your Honor. Can I get back from the witness? Maybe it might make sense for me. 2, Judge Penny's like, that one, you can take mine if you like. Rottenborn, okay, I think there were only 4. I can just take his out really quick. Rottenborn said, okay, do you want to give this witness, please? And then this has the full set. Rottenborn said, but I'll let you know when I skip over one. And then Judge Penny said, okay, fine. I'm sure Judge Penny was just over it.
It was probably 2 or 3 days after this op-ed appeared. One of my crew, again, I don't remember who had sent me, excuse me, had sent me a piece that was in some magazine, and Sean Bailey, who was the number 3.
Objection, hearsay.
I don't know yet. I'll overrule it at this point.
Thank you.
May I continue, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Sean Bailey, who was the third in line, as I suppose, in the upper echelon of Disney, just basically said in the
Objection, hearsay.
Your
What
Honor,
Sean Bailey said.
this is about him
It's in
learning
an
about this. It's
article.
not for the truth.
It is the truth. She's
If
asking.
you want to approach,
Okay, so Rottenborn said, she's soliciting testimony on what Sean Bailey said to him about what Disney was going to do with him. It's hearsay. Miss Myers, well, I was asking about how he learned about it. Judge Penny, okay, redirect him. Miss Myers, Miss Rogers said, thank you. And that was it. Next one. That was a quick one.
Mr. Depp, last week, Mr. Rottenborn asked you about a quote where you said you wouldn't come back to the Pirates franchise for $300 million and 1 million alpacas. Do you remember that?
I do.
When relative to learning that you would no longer be a part of the Pirates franchise, did you make that statement?
I think long before I made the statement, there was a very deep and distinct sense of having been betrayed by the people that I had been working with, the people that I had worked hard for, the people that I had delivered a character to that they initially despised, but somehow, you know, even I stuck to my guns with the character and it seemed to work. So,
Do you recall when specifically you made that statement about the $300 million and the 100 alpacas?
Objection, asked and answered.
overruled. I'll allow it.
I believe I made that statement during a press conference in the San Sebastian at the San Sebastian Film Festival when I was asked about my situation.
And what year would that have been, if you can recall?
I believe it was last year or so.
Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 804? Mr. Depp, do you recognize this document?
As soon as my eyes go on, I hopefully will. Scaramanga Brothers, yes. Pirates of the Caribbean, 4 and 5, yes.
What is this document?
I don't quite know. I'd have to read it to get some
Could we
understanding of it.
Could we scroll through so Mr. Depp can look at the rest of this document?
Oops. Oh, there it goes. It looks, this appears to me to be some species of contract, no?
Is this a contract that you entered into?
With Disney.
Your Honor, I'd ask that Plaintiff's Exhibit 804 be moved into evidence and published.
Any objection?
I think it's outside the scope of direct or cross-examination.
I'll overrule on that objection.
Okay, and I'll reserve other objections to portions of the document, depending on what she's going to ask about. Could be hearsay.
But she's asking to put it all into evidence right now.
Well, then I would object to that at this point.
All right, you want to come forward? Let's see.
Okay, Ms. Myers says, Your Honor, it's a contract. It's not hearsay. It's agreement among partners. Mr. Rottenborn, well, a contract can be hearsay, Ms. Myers, but it can be hearsay, and then everyone was cross-talking so Judy can pick it up. It's a contract. Judge Penny, is there a Judge Rottenborn? With the cover letter, is Judy couldn't pick it up over the last. Judge Penny, the cover letter of the contract. Judy couldn't pick up a lot. Oh my goodness. Rottenborn, isn't his first page, maybe not, no. Rottenborn doesn't know what he's doing. Miss Myers, this isn't the contract. Rottenborn, it's the first page of the contract. Judge Penny, let me see. It says, ladies and gentlemen. Rottenborn, ladies and gentlemen, right. So there's a cover letter. Court, all right. So if we took out the cover letter, Rottenborn said, that's fine. Let me just pause that for a second. Rottenborn said, that's fine. Judge Penny said, just a contract without the cover letter. Ms. Myers said, certainly. So 804 minus page 1. Everyone said, okay, and then we move on.
If I could just get
Okay, so this one, they came back from lunch. So Elaine said, Your Honor, today the audience has been much more rowdy. Gosh, complainer. Anyway, Judge Penny said, yeah, I'm trying, Elaine. And I know Your Honor has, but they've been, perhaps Your Honor can say something in addition to it, explaining to them a little bit, and I think they can be admonished too. Judge Penny, well, if I was waiting for objections, honestly, I'm not going to. Miss Bredehoff, oh, is that what we should do? We weren't, what to do with that? Oh my God, Elaine. She hasn't been in court in a while, so we'll give her that. Rottenborn. And I'm just kind of letting you know that every time, Judge Penny, and sometimes it's trial strategy, so I don't want to say anything. I don't want to interject myself in either one of your cases unless you object to something, except if it gets too loud. Elaine. And I know that's impacted the jury also. They laugh when they laugh. Oh my God. What if something's... Anyway. Judge Penny, right. Yeah, I'm not going to say, I think they got it. I'll do it again if I think there's an issue. Elaine's like, okay, Ben Chu. Yeah, I don't think he's planned anything distracting. Judge Penny, I don't know. I mean, he has had some comments that if there was an objection, I would have addressed it. Ms. Bredehoff, okay, thank you, Your Honor. And then everyone went off, and then we went on to the lovely Ben King.
How about your own interactions with the couple? How did you get along with them both?
I think very well. They were really open to me, and I mean, my background's quite formal, so it was quite an informal setting. I was able to ask questions to either of them. Ms. Heard especially, it was really helpful to get information about what time they wanted dinner, basic stuff like that, or anything. It was good interaction all the time.
Johnny loves him. Look at it.
Okay. Now you mentioned wine.
I love Ben
Can you tell us to what extent did you observe either of them consume alcohol over the course of these 4 weeks?
Sure. When I started that job, or when I was taking that job on, I was told, I think by Mr. Depp's assistant, that he was... Oh, sorry.
Can you answer without telling what you were told?
I was made aware that Mr. Depp was...
Could you put your microphone on?
Okay.
Same objection. He's explaining what he's been told. Now he just said I was informed.
I don't think it's offered for the truth, Your Honor. I think it's just offered to explain his own behavior towards the couple.
Can we approach?
Okay.
So Judge Penny said, I don't know what he's going to say, so I'm not sure. He's going to say that he was told that Johnny was teetotal. So Mr. Nadelhoff, I think he was going to say, and then Judy couldn't pick it up. Judge Penny, he was told that. Mr. Nadelhoff, he was told by Depp's agent, Depp's assistant, that Judy couldn't pick it up. If it's not offer for the truth, what else could it be for? Mr. Moniz, yeah, it's just being offered for the fact, and that is what he was going to say, I think, is that he was informed. He told her on that basis he was bringing wine. He understood that he was bringing wine to Mr. Depp. It was just to explain his own understanding of the context. Mr. Nadelhoff, Your Honor, it's hearsay. Judge Penny, still hearsay. Thank you. And then we move on.
And how would you describe Jerry Judge's demeanor when he was speaking with her?
He was just keeping her calm, saying, "It's all right, love, it will be all right." You know, Jerry was good, like, you know, big heart, Jerry. He's a good guy. He was calm. Jerry was always calm. Well, mostly.
And what did you do next?
I saw they were engaged across away there, so I went into the main kitchen area, which, as I said, was just directly ahead of those main steps, and spoke to David Kipper.
And following that conversation, what did you do?
Well, he told me that Mr. Depp had objection hearsay.
All right.
Your Honor, it's, well, maybe we approach.
Okay.
Okay, so Judge Penny said, one, the question was, what did you do after you spoke with Dr. Kipper? Let's get that straight. Mr. Moniz, understood, Your Honor. Mr. King just searched the house for the finger, so he's just going to say he was told he needed to look for the finger. It's not being offered for the truth. It's just being offered to explain why he was going around looking for the finger. He's not going to testify. He was told at this point how it was lost, so it's not being offered for the truth. It's purely the effect on the listener. Judy couldn't pick her up what Nadelhoff said. Mr. Moniz, definitely not hearsay, Your Honor. It's simply being offered to explain why he is going. Judge Penny, if he starts saying something about Johnny, we know he's going to say. Mr. Moniz, he's going to say he was informed that he needed to go find Mr. Depp's finger. Judge Penny, okay, not the reason for it, Mr. Moniz. He was informed of how he lost his finger. Judge Penny said, okay.
Now, you understand that there was a phone in the house that was recording during the cleanup, correct?
Sorry, I didn't hear all of that.
Did you come to understand that there was a phone in the house that was recording as people were cleaning up?
At that time, no.
But you now know that there was a phone that was recording people as they were cleaning up, correct?
Objection, foundation, hearsay.
I'm not asking for particular statements.
That's fine. I'll allow it if he knows.
I believe that came up somewhere later on. At that time, I wasn't aware, but I believe I became aware of it later, yes.
Okay. I would like to put up Defendant's 378. It's a recording, and I want to play a couple of times. 12:07 through 13:19.
Is that the only segment you wish to have?
And then I would also I'd also like to play 1951 through 21:38.
And is this going to be used again, or is this?
I think it would be A.
Okay, 378A. Any objection to 378A?
Yes, Your Honor, we do have an objection. I believe this is a recording that has the voices of people other than Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp, and on that basis, it's hearsay.
Okay.
Unless I'm incorrect about which document we're talking about.
Can we
Sure.
Okay. So Judge Penny wanted the transcript. Mr. Nadelhoff, correct, but Judge Penny, the highlighted parts are the ones you want to play. Mr. Nadelhoff, yeah, highlighted parts are the ones I want to play. It's on page 519. Judge Penny's like, sure. Mr. Moniz, thank you, Your Honor. Who's talking here? Mr. Nadelhoff, this is a statement from Mr. Judge and his evidence from an agent of Mr. Depp. Judge Penny, you would have to lay a foundation for Mr. Judge is no longer with us. So, Nadelhoff, it's been testified to 20 years, Mr. Judge. I think actually Mr. King testified that he was Mr. Moniz. Your Honor, even if we can get around hearsay on this, Nadelhoff, and it's also present impression as well, Mr. Moniz. Your Honor, even if he can get around hearsay on this, there's no foundation for Mr. Judge's knowledge. He's not able to testify. What's the foundation for even hearing his voice? Nadelhoff, I can ask if it's his voice. Mr. Moniz, regardless, there's no foundation for Mr. Judge's knowledge and it's still hearsay. Nadelhoff, and then on page 9, there's Mr. King. Mr. Moniz, can I see your... He's like, I'm sorry. Judge Penny said, page 9. Mr. Moniz, who's Jay? Judge Penny said, that's Jerry Judge. I mean, Your Honor, this is all. Mr. Nadelhoff, there's a question about what's happening at that time. It's not talking about Judge Penny. I'll sustain the objection. It's not coming in. Mr. Nadelhoff, can I ask? So you're saying this is all hearsay? I just want to make sure. Judge Penny, it's hearsay. Mr. Judge is obviously deceased, so we can't lay a foundation. Mr. Nadelhoff, it's also a statement that has an interest of a party person. Judge Penny, that's Mr. Judge's statement. Mr. Nadelhoff said, okay. The court said, no. Mr. Nadelhoff, okay, Your Honor, I do want to. I don't want to make you upset, but I do want to, for the record, I want to ask about another recording. I understand your ruling is going to be with Mr. Judge. Judge Penny, okay, so I'll sustain the same for the record. I'll sustain the objection, Mr. Nadelhoff. So it's clear it would be Exhibit 380. Judge Penny, 380. Everyone said, yep. Judge Penny said, okay. Nadelhoff, so you're going to sustain it as hearsay, is that right? Judge Penny, any other objection to the other than foundation? Mr. Moniz, hearsay, foundation, I think it covers it, Your Honor. And then they were done. It's a shame that they really tried to haul in Jerry Judge because we didn't get to see any of anything that he wrote. We saw little snippets here and there, like in Johnny's first statement, I believe there was something there. But he's not here. He's not here for us to question anything and, really get a deeper dive into what he knew. And no, so you can't bring in Jerry Judge. This is the last one. Okay, so this is the last one. Elaine, Your Honor, there are 2 court orders requiring them to produce all the photos, and they did not produce those. I would like to be able to get the court to order Mr. King to turn them over. Judge Penny's like, okay. Elaine, if not, we're asking for spoliation instruction. I just want to give the court that. Mr. Moniz, first of all, Your Honor, this is obviously not somebody who is employed by Mr. Depp. Judge Penny, understand the question is, are those photos in your custody? Mr. Moniz, they're not in our custody, possession, or control, but we have no objection to him turning. Judge Penny, well, we'll get them before he leaves, get everything that's on his phone, and we'll turn it all over. Mr. Moniz, those are after the close of discovery, obviously, but yeah, I mean, if he has photos that he hasn't produced, then yeah, that's fine. Judge Penny, sure. Why don't you get them in tonight, turn them over tonight to Miss Bredehoff so she can have them, and he's subject to recall, so if we need to call him back at any time, we'll call him back. I'll give you a leeway to have questions. Obviously, you can waive it today.
Ladies and gentlemen, that comes to the end of our day, so we can...
Sorry. And Mr. Moniz, and just at that point of clarification, Your Honor, this is not a witness to, it's a UK resident, not subject to subpoena. Judge Penny, I know, but he said he handed over 10 to 20 photos. It may be prior counsel. I don't know, but still, this resolves the issue. I think we can take care of it from there, okay? Ben Chu said, thank you. And then Judge Penny said, we're done. But after that, then when everyone left, Judge Penny said, all right, I just have one housekeeping matter. We're going through the exhibits you gave me this morning. Thank you again for that. One of them was 485, and I had in my notes that it was 485A, just the first page. But you gave me all 8 pages. Have you all agreed that all 8 pages of this document come in, or should I give 485 back, and you can try to give it back to me tomorrow? Rottenborn said, sure. Judge Penny said, okay, I'll give back to you, blah, 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 blah. We're going to start with a remote witness tomorrow. Is that going to be your first witness? Judge Ben Chu said, yes, Your Honor. Judge Penny said, make sure she signed on by 9:40 so we can have it all set up for 10. And then everyone said, cool, cool. And then they were done for the day. That's it. That's it. That's what happened for day 8 of Depp v. Heard Sidebars. I'll be back with day 9. As soon as I can. As soon as I can. So some of them are going to be short, but there's others that are really, really long. So we're going to try and get through them as quickly and swiftly as possible. But some interesting things are coming. Some very, very interesting things. So I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful afternoon, morning, evening, wherever the hell you are in the world. Thank you for sitting with me through this. I love you. I appreciate every single one of you. Take care.